Sam, the chickens are moving in. They're surrounding you. The chickens are surrounding you. They're like little velociraptors. You better be careful. See, I told you. Hey guys, Zip Tie back with you. Another episode of the Wasteland small engine maintenance series. This episode we're going to go over spark plugs and air filters. So what we need first for this specific task at hand is we need some tools. You don't need all of these. These are just examples of spark plug wrenches. Typically for the Predator style motor, you're going to do better with these taller, longer spark plug wrenches. Spark plugs. So you see NGK spark plugs out here. That's not what comes in the Predator. A torque spark plug comes in the Predator. A little harder to source. You can find them online. But NGK is a mainstream brand of spark plug. They're a good brand, and they're no more expensive than what comes in the Predator. So if you're going to replace the spark plug, I recommend you use the recommended NGK spark plug. Some people wonder, what spark plug should I use in the Predator 212? Well, this is the spark plug you use. BPR6ES or a BP6ES NGK. These are essentially the same spark plug. They'll work in the same motors. As far as our Predator 212 is concerned, either one of these will work just fine. Sometimes the R's are a little cheaper and they're a little easier to find than the straight plugs. This is the spark plug that Harbor Freight recommends on their spec sheet for the Predator 212. I'll pan to that. Okay, so on that spec sheet, they had the recommended NGK spark plug, and they also had the recommended gap. So what's the gap? Well, in terms of spark plugs, it is... Well, let's see if we can't get this. So it's the distance between the two electrodes. That's where the spark jumps, causing the engine to fire. It jumps from the electrode over to the little contact here. So the gap is what the distance between those 2 points are. Okay, so the recommended gap on the Harbor Freight spec sheet is 0.027 inches to 0.031 inches. So again, the gap is the distance between your electrodes, right where my fingernail is, on the spark plug. So how do you measure that? I'll use a feeler gauge or a spark plug gapping tool. So just for ease of use, the 0.015 and 0.014 are next to each other. So we're going to be checking it for 0.029. So those are right next to each other. And as we can see, it goes in there just fine. So that's just fine. If it's just a little bit off, it's not that big a deal. It's not critical. We just want to make sure we're roughly where it needs to be. So there's your new spark plugs. Now some people will say use the resistor type, don't use the resistor type, performance this, performance that. And for our applications, our Wasteland small motor applications, or most regular user type applications, the resistor or non-resistor spark plug makes zero difference. I'm going to pan to the NGK website and I'll show you right where they spell it out. Resistor plugs will work fine in anything that calls for a non-resistor plug. Now if something calls for a resistor plug, you don't want to use a regular one in that, but that's in the direction that matters. Okay, so we're going to do the mini bike first. We're going to check the spark plug, or pull the spark plug. So this is a little bit tighter workspace here on this little mini bike. Alright, lefty loosey, righty tighty. We're loose. Oh, yeah, of course I can't fit my hand in there. And that right there is a good looking spark plug. Maybe a touch on the rich side, but again, for our Wasteland application, that is burning perfectly. I'm not going to replace that spark plug. It looks like this mini bike comes with an LG F6TC. F6TC is a torque spark plug rating. I'm not sure what an LG spark plug is, but I know this mini bike runs fine. That spark plug's working. I'm not going to waste a spark plug to change one that's not working. Well, an NGK might be a little better. Again, for our Wasteland applications, being frugal, conserving our parts, I'm just going to put it back in. I know this one runs fine. I'm not going to worry about it. Who knows? Maybe all our spark plugs come out of the same factory anyways. I don't know. Do you know? Maybe if you know, post up in the comments below. Alright, so that's snug. Again, don't need to crank on it. Don't need to yank on it. Snug will do. Spark plug's not going anywhere. Reinstall the cap. Our spark plug is replaced. Alright, we're going to go over to our depth cart. Now, see this, we have much easier access. So on this, I'm going to demonstrate how to check a spark plug for spark. We're going to remove the cap. Okay, so we're going to remove the spark plug. Now this is an actual Predator motor. As you can see, it's been left outside, getting a nice patina on the exhaust shield. That's good. Looks good. Okay. So that spark plug looks pretty good as well. There's our torque. Looks like this has an F7TC in it. Again, the recommended spark plug on the Harbor Freight spec sheet is that BP6ES. So if I replace it, that's what I'm going to replace it with. So we're going to check the spark. We're going to check this spark plug for spark. What we're going to do, we're going to insert the spark plug into the cap. We're going to make sure that that's making metal contact. Move my spark plug wrench out of the way. Switch to on. I'm going to leave the gasoline off because we don't want it to start. Try to pump the carburetor full of fluid. So our spark plug is making metal contact. It's grounded against the engine cylinder, engine head there. So now I'm going to pull the starter and we're going to watch for spark on the spark plug. So we're going to pull the starter and we're going to look for a spark between the gap there. Looks like we got spark. So the spark plug is sparking. Now we're going to replace it. Alright, so that's spark plugs in a nutshell. And my promotion to always stay hydrated. Right under the air filter.